Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, John Herold, and plenty to talk about today. I also believe I'm going to be joined by Gabrielle Kachia from the OAN, the Pentagon correspondent. I think she's going to be joining me here in a little bit, and so we'll have a story about the Pentagon withdrawal that I think we're going to go through. But before we get to any of that, let's get a quick word from the sponsors of today's show. First up, we got Loaded Gun Coffee. These guys are great. Wake up to the bold flavors of Loaded Gun Coffee, where passion, precision, and patriotism infuse every sip. As a veteran-owned business, they ensure each cup is steeped in pride and unwavering commitment. The roasters handpick the finest coffee beans from around the world and have mastered unique brewing methods. Their skilled farmers cultivate the coffee to embody the essence of duty and honor in every meticulously crafted blend. But it's more than just coffee. It's a family's enduring commitment to freedom, with military veterans tracing their legacy back to the Civil War, including Purple Heart recipients. Loaded Gun Coffee is a brewed testament of pride and honor. Dedicated to preserving the integrity and strength of our beloved nation, they proudly stand as fierce advocates for a secure border and a strong America. So stay loaded, Badlanders, with Loaded Gun Coffee. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/loaded. Enter promo code Badlands for 10% off your purchase. That's badlandsmedia.tv/loaded, promo code Badlands. It looks like Gabrielle's in the background here, so I'm going to bring her on right away, and we'll get to the next sponsor later. Gabrielle, how's it going?
It's going well. I get better lighting at home, so right now I'm just taking a quick hiatus from the Pentagon and heading right back in. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. You got your
usually my head's floating, and I have like a dark background, so figured I'd show my face this time.
There you go. You got your studio and everything all set up over there?
Yeah, we're the first of the new media that was brought into the Pentagon to have a fully serviced studio. I pulled out the carpet, installed, put in soundproofing, patched the walls, got Verizon in there to do Wi-Fi. It was a process, but we are officially up and running 100% live every single day from the Pentagon.
That's great.
So,
that's great.
yeah.
Have they had a press briefing in a while?
Oh, yeah, good point. We want to jump right in.
Yeah,
we've only had one, and that is interesting. Actually, I was talking about this yesterday because the first and only press briefing we had was headed by Sean Parnell, the spokesperson, who now is kind of pivoting over to this behind the scenes element as a senior advisor to Hegseth. He was the one that was there, and he was alongside a high-ranking general from the Air Force. And the whole point of the very first and only press briefing was to discuss the kickoff campaign of the air precision strikes against the Houthis in Yemen within the Red Sea. And so I thought maybe at least at a minimum, we would get another brief just solely on the premise of the campaign has been shut down. Operation Rough Rider is non-existent right now in the USS Truman, which is the carrier in the Red Sea, pivoting back to the United States. So I thought maybe the bare minimum we would get something on that. But ever since Signalgate, just being frank with everyone that listens to your show, we haven't had a press briefing since. So
that's wild.
I know. Yeah. It's unfortunate because, again, you want to be able to attack these things when no matter what administration you're a part of, anticipate the questions, attack them. And, because at the end of the day, now these questions of Signal and maybe not even Signal. Now it's, hey, what are the updates? Why was there a stop for, say, the Houthis? And I'll just say from personal reports, my understanding is that President Trump wasn't necessarily pleased with the result, which that's a whole other thing. You can stop me whenever. But at the end of the day, we have a defense budget that we're bumping up to 1 trillion, already sits at 900 billion. And we were getting our MQ-9 Reapers taken down, about 7 of them, I believe. That's a crap ton of money. And for us to be doing that versus some rebel ragtag, Iran-backed Houthi group to actually be hitting us and making contact, it doesn't look good for the United States military. So President Trump appeared to be pissed off, actually, just for lack of better words. Which, I think there is a little bit of a recap of, hey, if we're doing this over and over again for, I think it was 52 days, and then after that they halted. That was the question I was asking at the Pentagon over and over again is, hey, is this normal? Is 50 some odd days compliant with the size and assets on the Houthi end? Yes or no. And I can just say, being completely blunt, not one person from any of the branches that I asked was able to determine that and say that explicitly, whether on or off the record. They weren't. So
that's crazy. And like
yeah.
for the administration to be continually saying that's like the most transparent administration in history, I'm not really getting that same vibe from them. Trump has definitely been transparent, but
Oh
to not hold
yeah.
a press briefing at the Pentagon, I mean, that's crazy. But I know there's another story that you wanted to discuss that you've been
Mhm.
pushing on social media, and it has to do with this withdrawal memo and review
Yes.
that's going on. So do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one of the very first topics, actually, the very first topic that I covered while taking on the role as the Pentagon correspondent for OAN was the Afghan withdrawal. That was a big thing that everyone was talking about. That's something that the president campaigned on, and those around him saying, what are the failures of the Biden administration? A massive mark, of course, was the botched Afghan withdrawal, 110%. What's difficult for me to wrap my head around, and something that I continue to ask, and whether on my own personal forum or in a public forum, is I'm having a hard time understanding this big reveal. If you remember, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, just earlier this week, I believe it was on Monday, they aired on the Will Cain show a sit-down interview between the two at the Pentagon, of which at that point it was a teaser from the SecDef saying, hey, we're going to have a big announcement about the Afghan withdrawal coming up this week, any moment now, any day now. And so this was something even before Hegseth had gotten in, and certainly when he was there, the very first line item that he had to answer to over and over again by press, by constituents, whether you're on the left or the right, was what's going to happen with the Afghan withdrawal. And so it's just tough because, running back to this memo that was rolled out, the memo, it looks like it has a good chunks of information, but again, how politics is that it's just a bunch of word salad. And right now, what we're seeing is that upon a 3-month investigation, of which actually, when you talk about even the very first press briefing, all the questions, a lot of them were pivoted, not asking necessarily about the Houthis, but asking about the Afghan withdrawal. What is this SecDef looking to do? Who is, at play for getting kicked on out? How do you make the wrongs right? And there was a lot of warrior ethos. We've also served. We want to take care of our counterparts. And I'm not saying that they're not. But what I am saying is that, I imagine it's unfortunate. The feelings, the sentiments are probably shared from anyone that's outside of being a journalist, just being an American, understanding an administration comes in, they talk about the Afghan withdrawal at length, how they want accountability left and right. I know personally, I've had whistleblower reports that were published from other journalists, independent. I've passed them on to Hegseth's team. Apparently, one of the whistleblower reports made it on to Trump, which was great.
Oh, wow.
But then all in all, that's over the course of these 3 months where we're having this accountability, right? And so it's tough because this is telling us, hey, we did a 3-month review, and the review tells us we need a review. And I don't buy that for a few reasons, and it's important for your viewers to know, is that no different than when I talk about the auto pen ad nauseum or anything else really when it comes to SOPs, standard operating procedures, especially with the Afghan withdrawal, which is a whole compilation, not of just like DOD, but you have the IC, you have CIA, you have Special Activity Center. That's a one particular covert operation with ground branch, air, maritime, et cetera. They're all involved in these types of intel collect. And then especially for the withdrawal, they were absolutely a part of this stuff. So with all that being said, the communication efforts are all via cable traffic. So just to water that down, cable traffic, really, you could think of it as like an email thread, if you want, for lack of better words. It has all the intel, it's on a secure system on the high side. And so all that information is there. No different than pretty much anything else when we talk about, who was signing off for Joe Biden? It's like, well, it's in the email traffic. Like, take a look. So you have 3 months to look at cable traffic that shows from start to finish the who, what, when, where's, and why of each movement, the intel collect prior to, certainly afterwards when they're facilitating all these Afghans coming to Dulles Airport right down the road. And you have, especially in the military, you can go rogue all day in the CIA, sure, to a degree, pretty much, yeah. But especially in DOD, you have these chains of command. So I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around 3 months of a hardcore investigation, taking it seriously for these military members that gave their life, 13 in particular, and we have nothing to show for it, but hey, we need another investigation. Doesn't make any sense. You have the cable traffic, you have the chain of command, you have standard operating procedures that are still existing on the systems, on the servers. Plus the fact that I'm when you talk about the transparency of government, I do love that Trump has these open forums. Like yesterday, for example, when you see diplomacy, whether the door is closed or open.
Yeah.
What's hard for me is looking at this memo, and again, you have these Gold Star families, and I've heard similar sentiments from those involved in certain whistleblower reports and from my own sources, is that there is an issue that the Pentagon is facing right now because there are people that are implicated that say the DoD wants to still maintain, that have been operating off of good rank and order, and they were following orders. And that unfortunately implicates them in this withdrawal overall. So now you have to deal with this element of how does the Pentagon, the DoD, Hegseth in particular, handle the court of public opinion? How do they maintain the people they still want in there? How do they kick the ones out? Is it ever going to be good enough? I think the reconciliation that this government has to have, especially with this administration, is that a lot of action might not ever be good enough.
Yeah.
And that kind of is what it is. But but it's unfortunate. So that's where we sit. I don't imagine, I know that Hegseth has talked about this memo in particular, and it doesn't appear, he makes some note, some statement about that this isn't going to happen quickly. So I give it at least 6 months. In those 6 months, if we still come up empty-handed, I think I'm going to be yelling a lot louder than I have about it.
Yeah.
Not just as a journalist, but as an American, because we are taxpayers, one. But number two, actually, what should really be number one, is we lost American lives, point blank, not to include the ones that have been involved in Afghanistan way back when, not to get ahead of myself, but you got a lot of people that lost their lives prior to that day and that have still have ties and were deployable in areas of operation quite close to respond to anything that was happening in Afghanistan, and certainly with the withdrawal. So there's a lot of people that were done wrong.
Do you think
it is what it is?
So if I'm understanding you correctly, it almost appears as if they're stalling so that they don't like throw people that they still want within the DoD under the bus because they're complicit in whatever went down over there.
That's what it appears to me, because if it was there, all the evidence is right there. So why isn't there why are we asking for another special review panel?
Like why even announce another review? Like why couldn't they just have continued the review they were doing?
I think there was actually, no, that was for the Golden Dome. Never mind. It was I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the messaging was on that. A lot of us actually were anticipating before that Golden Dome announcement, because that's the same day of the Afghan withdrawal memo coming out.
Yeah.
We were all assuming it was about the Afghan withdrawal. So it was a little mental whiplash on what takes precedent and priority and where are the results for either or. I think there's a lot of good things for Golden Dome. We could talk about that all damn day, but I'm genuinely not sure. But I do think that there's an element of that one, unlike say Signal, because unlike Signal, this implicated American lives. This is something that they were very loud about. I think it's kind of similar to maybe say what the DOJ has to face when it comes to real information being unveiled, and you pull back the real info behind the scenes and like a skiff or whatever, and all of a sudden the information that you're being given, I think that the administration is finding some information and going, dang, that's bad. And is the truth even worth it? Is there more problems with the truth?
That's not right. Especially, I mean, it happened under the Biden administration.
Right.
You know, like, so why?
But it's tough. I mean, John, it kind of goes back to, I think like one of the last times that we had talked, and we were talking about the NSA director being removed and all that from the Pentagon. And, you know, like a lot of these people, because again, when I worked in the executive clerk's office, you're dealing with open slots that are, you know, every few years or so get fulfilled. And it might just happen to be under an administration that we deem unfavorable, or that is Democrat or Republican. And maybe that person, you know, they served for 20, 30 years. I mean, these are usually legit people. So I could absolutely see that, where some of these people are like, well, we would hold on to them. They have institutional knowledge, and they've served their country for decades on end. And they just happen to be under this chain of command. I mean, that is possible, but so I don't know. I think there's a lot of
that's
politics involved for this one.
Yeah, that's this whole thing, this situation, like the review, we're gonna need another review, more comprehensive.
We either lost John or we lost me. I'm not sure.
Oh,
that's fun.
Am I frozen?
I wish I could see the comments to know.
Let me see. So
I feel
I
like
still
it's
have
worth
you.
just still talking until John pops up or he kicks me out. What do we think? I wish I had a comment box right now.
Are you still?
Can
the chat hear us both?
I don't know. My timer's still going.
It's like I can hear you, and I think they can hear both of us. Are you there?
I'll give it a hot second. I'll start talking about the Golden Dome if I need to factor in the timestamps here.
Do that. Go ahead.
All right, everybody stay with me for a hot second. Let's see.
It's weird. Can you hear me?
I think it's John. I got a little text box that says you're in the show and everyone can see and hear you. So, oh, there he is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I was stalling just enough because I was like, I'm about to pivot to the Golden Dome, and then I was like, you might lose all your viewers.
That's what I think. Like they could hear us both, and I could see and hear you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was weird. But I did want you to comment on the AutoPen story one more time because this is probably the last thing. But I know you worked in like at the executive office and you're familiar with that. The story that Ed Martin just dropped, like they were taking payments for pardons allegedly. Do you have any thoughts on any of that?
I don't think that's wild. I actually just met Ed Martin, like right in the middle of this transition between him being the district attorney and then filtering on into the DOJ and this like weaponization task force, anti-one. So I think he seems really legit to me. I don't think that's out of play. But again, it just goes back to like how you mentioned, yeah, I worked in the clerk's office. I had auto pen privileges. All you got to do is just look at the feed. There has to be an ounce of communication because I have yet to hear that the auto pen privilege, the process was changed where it was just Biden officials doing it. Like I've yet to hear that ever.
So what does that mean?
Which means so there was always a Biden official saying to one of the career people who are in the Eisenhower building across from the West Wing. So you have like your staff sec people that are in the West Wing. They're the ones that say, hey, this needs to be auto penned, that needs to be auto penned.
Okay.
And so that directive, ready for AP, which is what's usually transcribed in email, actually always transcribed in email, goes directly to the executive clerk's office. And then the executive clerk's office, which is the office I worked in, prints that document out that is supposed to be AP'd. And you carry it up to the top floor of the Eisenhower building. And then the only person that mans the auto pen is one person at a time in records management, which is at the top level. They maintain it, they control it. If no one's manning the auto pen, the door's completely locked. Like it's a very, very strict process for auto pen. So what I'm saying is I have yet to hear from anybody at the White House that during the Biden administration, they took out the records management office and they took out the executive clerk's office. And it was someone from staff sec going up every day or however many times, every time that President Biden at the time was ready for AP and using the auto pen themselves. There's always a process. There's always an email chain that says what. And I'm not saying that any of those those career people are complicit in any of this. They're just being told what to do. They don't really ask the questions. That's just how the process is executed. So again, all of that stuff for AP is cataloged by records management and by the executive clerk. So it's like, it's all there. Like, just look at that. Look at that. If there's no traffic, that in and of itself implicates the Biden administration even further because it's always historically been recorded every single time that there's an auto pen usage. Every single time.
Does the president have to sign off of or at least be aware of the things that are being signed by auto pen because it's his signature?
Yeah. Ideally, yes.
But does it happen even under Trump that things get signed that he might not be aware of?
And for sure. And I can tell you even like, if you're like, oh, well, how do you know? Are you physically in the room with them? When I can tell you at least it's very far and few between. And it's not just because I'm conservative. It really is true. It was true in the first term. And it's even more true in the second term because now he's like scared of the auto pen. He doesn't want to use it at all. And I know that. Now he's not, I shouldn't say scared of it. He does not want to use it purely on principle of all of this surrounding the Biden administration. But the difference is, especially so, is because Even Obama, same way. When they used the auto pen, which was far and few between, and it was usually because of trips or prior engagements where they couldn't physically sign it. There is always a press pool that travels with the administration. So you have your press pool. They immediately ask about it. Once it's signed to AP, executive clerk's office, we put together a press release that goes out to everybody. So there's no hiding it. There's no secret of what's being signed. You can't be like, I mean, Biden probably did a lot of times go, oh, I didn't sign that. He probably didn't even know what was going on, to be honest.
Yeah.
But there's never a situation, unless it's classified material. In that case, they wouldn't there would be no press release for it. But it's very far and few between that a president wouldn't know. They always have to know. Technically, they have to know. And then if they weren't told, they'll see it in the press immediately. Like as soon as we do AP, that's no different than the president signing it in front of our faces, and we're running a press release immediately.
Wow, that's crazy.
So,
I'm interested to see how that story plays out. But I appreciate you coming on, Gabrielle.
Of course.
If you have any updates on anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Golden Dome's going to be sick, man. That's all I got for now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually did an interview with the guy, Steve Quast,
good
month or two ago, former Space Force guy, or not Air Force guy, I should say. And he was talking about that, and the technology is going to be pretty crazy.
I'll leave you outside of even the tech. You talk about all the negotiations we're doing with Iran, the fears of North Korea, Russia, China, etc. The one other element that people aren't really talking about too much is that when this thing is actually up and running, it completely changes. We're operating off of Soviet feardom constantly. Oh, this person has nukes, this person has nukes, whatever. This thing over time is only going to get better and stronger. It's going to completely change the conversations between adversaries and allies when it comes to no more can you really use the bolstering of nukes. At some point over time, we're going to get more on the defense element of being able to barter with that type of asset. So
it's going to denuclearize the world that way. Appreciate you coming on. We'll get you on again. And
All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate
you later.
Bye.
All right. Okay, so I got a lot to get through. That withdrawal thing is pretty nuts. Like, why even do a memo just to announce you're doing another review? It makes no sense. Just keep doing the review. Something weird's going on with that, the cover up. I forgot to ask. I was going to ask if there's any whispers of the Doha agreement getting kicked back up too. But anyway, we got a lot to get through here. So first up, no update to the Doge website. It's been like 11 days since the last update, and they're supposed to do it weekly. So I guess they're just not finding any more waste, fraud, and abuse or something. I don't know. But probably the biggest story from the last 24-ish hours, I shouldn't say biggest. There's been a lot of decent sized stories, but the House Republicans have advanced the big, beautiful bill through. They passed it. House passed a wide-ranging bill early Thursday supporting President Trump's priorities, including tax cuts, spending reductions, and increased border security funding. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, over 1,000 pages. We went through most of the stuff yesterday, so I'm probably not even going to read all this. But I will say this. I did start going through, well, first of all, every single Democrat voted against this thing. I think there was one Republican who missed the vote because he fell asleep or something. But I started reading through, or at least combing through the bill. Okay, looking for, like, initially when I read through this stuff, I just go through the table of contents line by line and see if anything like is weird or sticks out. And if that's the case, oh my gosh, I think I got the first ever Rumble rant from Mrs. Bright right now. Somebody needs to put this in a calendar. The first and only Rumble rant. I'm floored right now, and only $999 away from a blue whale. That's just incredibly generous. Thank you. Anyway, reading through this line by line, I haven't found anything yet that's like, that bugs me yet. I'm not saying it's not in here, because in order for this to pass through the Senate, I feel like they're going to have to make some sort of concessions. But I don't know for sure. But there's some interesting stuff. The stuff we talked about yesterday, the tax stuff, the mega bill or whatever that we were talking about, or the mega fund for kids. It does appear that it won't be government based. Like, the government won't be running it, if I'm understanding it correctly. So I'm going to keep going through it when I have time. and I'll let you guys know if I find anything concerning, but other than the fact that it doesn't eliminate taxes completely, it's I guess it kind of does codify a lot of Trump's agenda, from what I can tell. Last night, while we were doing the DPH, and we were kind of being critical of Israel, there was this story that broke. A gunman kills Israeli embassy staff in D.C., shouts "Free Palestine" during arrest. 2 Israeli embassy staff members, Yaron Lachinsky and Sarah Milgram, were fatally shot Wednesday night outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. by a gunman who was later shouted "Free Palestine" while being arrested. The victims, a couple reportedly soon to be engaged, were attending a young professionals event hosted by the American Jewish Committee. Around 9 p.m., the suspect identified as Elias Rodriguez of Chicago, approached the group outside the museum and opened fire, killing Lachinsky and Milgram. Rodriguez then entered the museum and allegedly pretended to be a witness. Eyewitnesses said he waited over 10 minutes for police to arrive before confessing. So he didn't even run away. He just sat there, waited, confessed, and then said, "I did it for Gaza, Free Palestine." Kind of nuts. Well, I got to shut my door here. Sorry about that. Obviously, any killing is not good. This is, I condemn this. Like, this should not be happening. My thoughts are, it's right up Israel's alley to do the false flag thing. Like, that's where my first thought goes. And obviously, going to give it 72 hours. But what we're going to see now is 2 things. One, a push in this country to go against free speech, like, the anti-Semitism stuff, like, you can't do it, all that, whatever. I'm an American. I believe in the First Amendment, and I believe everybody should have free speech. Totally. Like, if you're going to commit acts of violence and support terrorist groups and stuff like that, yeah, if you aren't a citizen of this country, you should get out of here. Like, honestly, I believe there should be no such thing as dual citizenship, period, in this country. You're either an American citizen who's renounced all other countries, or you're not an American citizen. Like, I do not think we should allow any dual citizenship. Just my opinion. But we're going to see a push for, some restrictions on free speech, which I'm not against, I'm not in favor of. Like, that is not okay to me. And then 2, we're going to see this as further justification for Israel further continuing their bombing of Gaza. Like, that is coming. And I think we actually saw some stories. Yeah, this is from the Jerusalem Post. Embassies tighten security after DC attack. Israel calls back hostage deal team from Doha. So the team that was negotiating the hostage deals has been brought back. Israel is bringing back the entire hostage delegation team from Qatar. According to the sources, Israel conduct a complete reassessment of the negotiation process. The sources clarify that Hamas is unwilling to budge from its positions, and Israel has deemed it impossible to move forward with the current state. So, yeah, not a big fan of what we're about to see take place because of this, whatever this was that took place in Washington, D.C. yesterday. Definitely has the vibe of false flag. So stay frosty, guys. We have this story. Thomas Barak named special envoy for Syria. The United States will appoint President Trump's longtime advisor and current ambassador to Turkey, Thomas Barak, as special envoy to Syria, according to a person with direct knowledge. Barak, a private equity executive who chaired Trump's inaugural committee in 2016, is expected to retain his role as the U.S. envoy to Turkey while taking on the Syria portfolio. The appointment follows President Trump's announcement last week that U.S. sanctions on Syria would be lifted, signaling a shift in Washington's approach to Damascus. I think it was Ghost yesterday who I saw on Twitter. I should have pulled this up beforehand, but he was talking about how what's going on in Syria and what's going on with Turkey and everything, it's going to be used, like, Israel's going to be in a position where they can no longer advance against what's happening in Syria because United States troops are going to be there, and they're going to break Article 5 of NATO or whatever, which would drive everybody into war. And that's like a untenable position. Israel's kind of being boxed in with some of these moves. And Trump is appointing his people, not government officials, like business people he knows, to negotiate a lot of the stuff that's going on here. So Gizmo's mom says they just did assassination of Messianic Jewish couple. That means they followed Jesus as Messiah. False flag for sure. PJ Corgan, like, this has anything to do with the genocide in Gaza? Yeah, it's just going to be used as justification. I just don't want them to impede my rights, free speech rights. Like, people should be able to say, if you're a citizen of this country, you should be allowed to say whatever you want, as long as you're not actually like actively calling for terrorism or violence or wishing harm upon people or lying, obviously, like, but you should be able to speak truth in what you believe. As long as it's not defaming people, character assassinations, actual assassinations, whatever. Report alleges feds delayed warning public on heart risk tied to COVID-19 vaccine. This is a biggie. People are going to get in trouble for this. Federal officials in the Biden administration deliberately delayed warning the public about heart-related complications linked to mRNA COVID-19 vaccines, according to new interim report from Senator Ron Johnson's office. Beginning in February 2021, agencies were alerted to large reports of myocarditis in young Pfizer vaccine recipients, yet vaccine labels weren't updated until late June to reflect those risks. The 54-page report claims officials knowingly withheld this information, putting young Americans at risk. Like, that's like murder. Their people will go to prison over this at some point. Sorry, I need to pull something up here. There's another story I wanted to get to. I think it's this one. Yep. Okay. I'll get to that. I got to cruise through here, guys, because I got a lot of stories to get through in only half an hour. The telemessage hack exposes messages from over 60 U.S. government users. This goes back to the Mike Waltz stuff. The hacker who breached the communications platform used by former Trump National Security Advisor Mike Waltz earlier this month accessed a wider range of U.S. officials' messages than previously known. Leaked data obtained by the nonprofit Distributed Denial of Secrets revealed that over 60 unique government users were active on telemessage. Telemessage, if I'm not mistaken, is an Israeli government app. Like, how, I mean, was it actually hacked, or was it leaked? Was it intentional? Mike Waltz was taking a lot of pro-Israel positions and a lot of stuff, so who knows? But we haven't seen the end of that Signalgate story. Romania court has upheld the presidential election results, rejects Simeon's fraud claims. I love all stories about election fraud. This guy's coming out saying that he had irrefutable evidence that France and Moldova and other actors interfered in the election and alleged that deceased individuals had voted. It's kind of similar to the stuff that we thought was happening here, or believe and know to be happening here. He argued the election should be invalidated on the same basis as last year's annulled result. After the court rejected his appeal, Simeon posted on Facebook that the court has continued the coup, adding, "We have no choice but to fight. I call on you to stand with me today in the coming weeks." But yeah, the court unanimously dismissed his annulment request and held a brief ceremony to certify Dan's victory. Love those election fraud stories. All right, let's keep going here. This is an interesting one, and I don't even know the full details here, but I'm curious because the Supreme Court had a case in front of them today about charter schools. Fight over Catholic charter school could clear the way for taxpayer-funded religious schools. The reason this is kind of near and dear to my heart is obviously going to Catholic school growing up, working there. My dad still works, and my kids go to Catholic schools. The Supreme Court was set to hear arguments today about the first religious charter school, a case that critics say prompted a crisis of identity in the school choice movement and could vastly expand taxpayer funding for religious education. If Trump gets what he wants and what he said he was going to do, the funding for any school, like anybody, would go through the kids. So this shouldn't matter, right? The funding should follow the kids. Like, if there's tax dollars going to a school for public education, you take it away from the school and divvy it up, and it follows the kids. School choice. That's how it should be. But with this particular decision, Amy Coney Barrett recused herself, and so there's a 4-4 split. So there's a tie. I don't even know what happens in that situation. Ash, if you're in the chat, you should let me know. I don't even know what happens if there's a tie. Like, does it just no decisions made? Just stays that way forever in perpetuity? I honestly have no idea. I don't remember the last time we had a tie like that. Oh, General Kloss interview on YouTube has dropped. You guys stay here until this is done before you go over there. But if you do have to leave to go watch it, I understand. Just hit that thumbs up. This morning, a lady drove through the gates of the CIA's headquarters and she was shot. Oh, I didn't have that. Hold for processing. Get to the archived link here. Bypass the paywall. Oh, you know what? I forgot to get to our other sponsor. I'm going to do that real quick. So we got Manly Cans back in the mix. Look who's back, Manly Cans. And just in time for Father's Day, Manly Cans is the ultimate destination for spoiling the guys with cool stuff they actually want. Each Manly Can is an experience and even a greeting card that doubles as a coaster. Customize your Manly Can to fit his personality. Choose from a wide variety of cans, and during checkout, add additional items to make it just right for him. Spoil all the dads in your life. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/manlycans and use promo code badlandsmedia for free shipping on purchases over $50. That's badlandsmedia.tv/manlycans, promo code badlandsmedia. What a great idea for the dad in your life. Everybody's got a dad in their life for the most part. Get them a Manly Cans, guys. These things are awesome. I think they still have the CanCon can. I'm not positive on that, but I know he had like his own little branded can. So if you're going to get a father something for Father's Day, go to Manly Cans and use our promo code. Support the businesses that support Badlands and support us in the process. Okay, so yeah, this lady drove through the gates of the agency around 4 a.m. She like drove through and they shot her. She was not dead, but I just wonder if she did it on purpose or if it's just a typical female driver and couldn't control the vehicle and it was an accident. Guess we'll see. Ash 1776 says upheld takes a majority to overturn. Okay. Good to know. Real Miss Bright, should I get BB a Manly Can for Father's Day? I don't know if he's deserving of one. Kim Jong-un is very angry because a new Navy destroyer got crippled in a botched launch. And I just kind of thought it was funny to picture Kim Jong-un angry over a boat not going into the water properly. What else do I got here for you guys? No, let's not do that one. Oh, here's a kind of funny one. This is Gail King. So, like, just was it yesterday or the day before we talked about the story of how they're kind of restricting the COVID shots, the boosters, to only the high-risk people? Well, this is what Gail King had to say.
You know, listen, I just went and got my booster. Just last week, I went and got one.
Oh, wow.
I know, because I'm very diligent and very afraid. But I know so many people of all ages that say, I'm done, I'm not getting it anymore. So what do these new guidelines say and why now?
Well, the guidelines are, in fact, taking away the option to be getting a booster. You know, I think until now, people have been opting. Do they want to? Do they not?
Yes.
Now, if you're under 65, you may not be able to get an updated booster. So they and also for people who are high risk, they will still have access. So if you are over 65, if you are high risk, so have an underlying medical condition, and they are including women who are pregnant or recently pregnant in that group, they would still have access to updated boosters.
I still think it's insane that they see there's an issue with these things, and so they're taking them like out of market for a little bit, but they're still leaving them for the people with the highest risk factors. That just makes no sense to me. Anyway, U.S. District Judge Myong Jun, I wonder if he's an American citizen or dual citizen. Just curious, but he's nominated by President Biden. He ordered Trump to stop dismantling the Department of Education. So we have another judge trying to interfere with the Trump agenda. Not really surprising, but it happened again. We got, let's see. Oh, this is on the Daily Mail. Gordon had some good commentary on this on Twitter as well. But Trump told Zelensky that Ukraine and Russia will need to reach a peace deal themselves after his bombshell phone call with Putin. In clear sign yet, he is ready to walk away from ceasefire talks. U.S. President Donald Trump has seemingly given his clear sign yet that he is willing to wash his hands of the Russian invasion of Ukraine after reportedly telling Zelensky and other European leaders they would have to find a solution themselves. Trump reportedly gave the signal following his 2-hour call with Russian despot Vladimir Putin, during which he heralded impressive prospects for ties with Russia. According to the New York Times, Trump's told Zelensky and other leaders he's also planning to backtrack on his own threats to join the EU in placing additional sanctions on Russia. So again, it's that situation where both in Israel and Ukraine, as I've been saying, they're the ones that are continuing pushing for war, and that position is becoming untenable. And Trump is like, okay, well, if this is what you want, I'm stepping away, but it's not because of Russia. It's not because of it's because you guys don't want peace here. And I don't know what the end game there is, but I know he's got to have an end game, and it's not going to be good for Ukraine or Zelensky or the European Union. Anyway, continued. The U.S. Treasury has finally given their final decision that they are no longer going to mint pennies. It's kind of insane. It costs more than 4 times its value to make 1 penny. The fact we were making these at all, while with that being the case, like, it's just such a good example of government waste. The Treasury lost $85 million minting pennies last year alone. But anyway, so they're going to stop minting these, and they're going to stop putting them into circulation next year. And businesses are going to have to round up or round down their prices to the nearest 5 cents, or they're going to have to pay in sats, which I'm cool with. Okay, I have a couple stories I want to get to, but before I do that, hold on. Okay, I got to play this. So Ash sent this over. This is crazy. Let me get this straight. Jake's theory is that demented and cancer-ridden Joe Biden was running a sophisticated and successful influence op to deceive media's most celebrated journalists to believe he was not demented and cancer-ridden. Is the writer's strike still going on? Check this video out.
In your specific case, Joe, our reporting indicates that Joe Biden, who, as you know, is a frequent viewer of the show, saw when David Ignatius wrote that column in, I think, August 2023, saying that Joe Biden should not run for re-election because of what he had been hearing.
Right.
And he came on this show, and you guys had a robust conversation about this. You largely agreed that you'd been hearing things about this, but that there was really no alternative, that Kamala Harris was not up to the job. That's what Democrats were telling you behind the scenes. Joe Biden saw that. Joe Biden said to staffers that he wanted to convince you that you were wrong. And he focused on you like you were a constituency, like you were farmers in Iowa, like you were the Kiwanis Club in New Hampshire. And he made sure that you thought differently. He made sure that you thought differently. I think he did this with a couple people. I think he did it with Meacham. He might have done it with Evan Osnos. He knew that there were people that had to be convinced that he was fine. And he tried to prove that to you.
This whole thing that's playing out with Tapper and this book that came out, Original Sin, is very interesting because they're almost being treated as like the media's mea culpa, like they're the source of authority for how the media was deceived and played. And they're going around, they're making rounds, they're doing all these interviews. Like, yeah, we were deceived, but so was everybody. And he went on Joe Scarborough's show and was like, you got psyoped by Joe Biden, who we're also saying has dementia. Like, the whole book is about how Joe Biden was not mentally competent and how there's this big cover up and how the media failed to do their job and all these things. And while he's on this show pitching this book, he's also saying that the guy that was not mentally competent for office was running sophisticated psyops on the media and just tricked them all. Like, he's the mastermind behind this whole like, it's insane. But this is the type of thing where I keep saying this, guys. We're at like a tipping point. If we wanted to, this could be what kills the media altogether. This going all the way back to the election and everything. They could be done forever. All these people, maybe not the media, entities themselves, but the media characters, the likely CIA assets, whatever, that are on these media networks. This could be their death blow. Or they could come through this unscathed in a lot of ways. Like, I know they still have their audience, and I know nobody that like follows Trump and follows Badlands or conservative media is going to go back and watch these guys again. But these people themselves could like, it could be the step on the throat if Trump wanted it to be, or they could be drugged through this just fine. And I don't know. I'm not in favor of them getting out of this scot-free, unless there's a bigger, more damaging story that's going to come later. Like that would be ideal. I would be okay with if they're doing this whole thing where how they admitted to, helping Joe Biden, be president. Essentially, propped up the entire thing. Is there a bigger story that could come on the heels of this that would make them look even worse? Maybe the election theft stuff. the COVID stuff, being complicit in all that. I don't know what it would be. Maybe you guys in the chat have a better idea, but yeah, I do not like how they're being allowed to get all the interviews and stay relevant and keep coming to the White House and whatnot. But okay, so I'm going to play you guys a video here. There's some crazy new AI stuff, and we're going to spend the rest of the show having some fun. I'm going to play this video. This is all entirely AI. You can like type in a text now and create videos. And so after this video, we're going to do it ourselves. I downloaded the thing and paid like $20 or whatever to get on this thing. And so I need you guys to come up with a prompt for me. Help me come up with an idea for something that I could type in and it will generate a video. So in the chat, make sure you type it up and watch this, how realistic this is. This is all AI. Whoops, I probably should share the right screen. Here we go. All AI.
I didn't do it. I didn't kill your family. Please stop this now.
You hate me as much as you hate my mom. You crossed the line this time. I still hear you crying in my dreams.
We have been married for 60 years. We never sleep without solving our problems first.
I tried learning the bagpipes once, nearly got evicted. Even the cat moved out.
He always says my cooking is not good, but he finishes everything. He knows I make the most delicious food ever.
Pineapple? On this? That's not pizza, that's a crime scene.
I should have called. Just once. That's all she ever wanted.
You really thought you could stop me with that broken sword?
In this family, loyalty isn't a choice. It's your blood. You go against that, you don't come back.
You said forever, and I believed you. Now forever's just...
This is all AI, guys. And this is 2025. Let me show you a video of what AI was in 2023. AI video stuff. Like, look how bad this is. Like, this is AI video, text to video. Back then, Will Smith eating pasta or whatever. And the stuff you see now is so incredibly realistic. And this update just came out. So, with that being said, think of what the military, what these people have access to,
Is expert.
and they've had access to for years, decades. Like the AI capabilities they've had that we're now just finally getting like a teaser of. You tell me they can't like fake conflicts somewhere? Imagine what they can do with AI. Even the AI we just got, like this new video like this. They can do better than this. They can make realistic anything that people would believe and put it on TV. It's insane. This is why the AI stuff, I don't know, scary. But anyway, we should have some fun with it since we can. I need some prompts because I got like less than 10 minutes. I need something to put in the chat here. Do the Twin Towers being taken down by planes? I need something better than that. Does anybody have any ideas? Kick Dreaming says military tech is always at least 40 years ahead of the public. Maybe. I'm not going to do me. Dancing, no. Anybody got... You guys are not following directions. I need you guys to give me... I need you guys to give me an idea to type into the prompt. I need to type something in. Okay, California being hit by a big one. You guys. Trump playing golf, Biden dancing a jig. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to do the work. Like, I'm just talking about a generic thing. Like, I'm not going to do characters or people yet. It's like I'm not going to plug in Bernie Bright or myself because I don't know if they can figure out my face yet. You guys are like, give me a story, like somebody doing something. Donald Trump crossing the Potomac. That might be a good one. Let's try that. I'll put with George Washington. Okay. See what happens. I don't think you guys I don't think you guys got the assignment here. New Badlands Bronco climbing Mount Rushmore. I like that. While we're waiting for this to load, I'll read a couple of the rants here. Realmus Bright for $1, $999 away from a blue whale. 12 Indie Boy, Ty, nice to see, man. My donation for when you go through the BBB, Big Beautiful Bill, and find things that no one else will. And now I have a goal of blue whale. Awesome. Did it not? Failed generation. Why? Do it again. Come on. Everybody should have a goal of blue whale. Cece says you're cute. Pretty cute yourself. Thank you. PJW, let's be the change we want to see and push back at the media's complicity. Locally hit your Secretary of State and push to file class action against the media lies. I agree. Ashley D. John, I filled out the info for local Badlands groups about a week ago, created a Discord as well, but I haven't heard anything yet. I hope somebody in the chat saw that because I don't run that stuff, so I don't know what to tell you. If you fill out the form, I'll make sure somebody follows up with you. I'll reach out. Maybe put your email address or DM me on Twitter or something or in Telegram. PGW says Ohio and Z Ohio Badlanders are holding a meetup on 5/31. John has the info. Yep, I do. I did not get that loaded in here though. Let me see if I got that ready. I don't remember where I saved that. So I will I'll show that tomorrow on the show. Don't let me forget. Send me another message and I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, we need a new thing here because this didn't work. Dogs playing poker in Deadwood and a fight breaks out. Okay, let's try that. That's a good one, Keith. I can't believe the Donald Trump one wouldn't work. I wonder if that'll be the same way with everything. AOC serving the white Russians at Gitmo wearing mega hat and bikini. You guys are terrible. Have Abe Lincoln arresting Biden. Trump saves babies. John having a shootout in Deadwood with Wild Bill Hickok. Again, I don't want to I don't know how to feed my own image into this yet. I literally just got this before the show. After I saw that, I was like, I need to play around with this. Like, could you imagine what this is going to do to Hollywood in 2-3 years, maybe less? Like, if they can put together realistic stuff like this, imagine what that's going to do to actors. They're going to become irrelevant. Creative people won't have to pay anybody for these films anymore. Okay, check this out. Just one dog. That was lame. No fight there. Maybe it wasn't a specific enough prompt, but look how realistic it is for the most part. Isn't that crazy? This is Google's thing, like VO or something. And I don't know how to get audio on it either. Again, I just downloaded, so I have no idea what I'm doing with it, but I wish this was longer so we could chat more. Yeah, sorry guys. Someone catching a big fish I think we need to be more like descriptive. Someone here, we'll do someone catching a big fish only to find out it's not a fish, but what should it be instead of a fish? Anything? After this, I'm going to end the show, by the way. It's an oversized giant green fish. We'll go with that. Whatever. Or an alligator. That's a good one. And after this, we'll be done. But yeah, Quas interview's up. Make sure you guys go check that out. Go to YouTube. I'll put the link in here, actually. Three hours. Holy cow. Here's the link. I cannot wait. Oh, I wonder if the transcript's available, if you got a Badlands shout out in here. No. They edited it out. Wow. Those losers. Didn't get it. Okay, here we go. Look at that. This is freaking AI. Where's the alligator? Okay, clearly I'm not doing something right with these prompts, but that is all AI. Insane. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Yeah, apparently, yeah, allegedly, I know he mentioned Badlands Media, and they apparently edited that out. So I'll play around with this AI stuff more, and maybe we can mess around with it tomorrow on the Liberty Den. So anyway, hit the thumbs up, everybody. Make sure you guys stick around on Badlands all day, or go watch the Quas interview. It's going to be good. I know Saturday we're going to be going through, we'll go through some clips and whatnot and discuss the interview if anything good is said, which I'm sure there'll be quite a bit of. So you hope you guys have a great rest of your day.